This is Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions with Alastair Lynch, Tom Rockliff and Dylan Leach.
Opening round is done and dusted. We just got that little smidge of football, but now we have round one. We have the real stuff. Hello everyone, welcome to Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. My name is Dylan Leach. Joining me like they do every single week is a man who, well, he calls the shots in Tasmania. Alastair Lynch, welcome.
Morning, Dill. Rocky. Yes, it was an interesting weekend, wasn't it?
Well, we got some football.
Got some footy. Got a bit of rain.
Yeah.
We've all managed to get through okay-ish.
Yes, we are coming to you live from Brisbane. Well, 10 a.m. We're recording this 10 a.m. Brisbane time on a Monday.
Yes.
Managed to all get here okay, and we're all doing just fine. And obviously our thoughts with any of our Queensland listeners that have probably copped it a bit over the last few days. A man who played football in 3 different countries for premiership points. He played in New Zealand, he played in China, and of course Australia. Tom Rockliff. I think you're the only AFL player that ever did that.
I think so, yeah. St Kilda over in New Zealand, and then a couple of times for Port. Once I think I only played over there, but yeah, I think I'm the only one. But a bit of water about Lynchy. I was looking yesterday and a bit of surface water on the grass, but last time I remember water like that, I think I had 57 at North Adelaide. In the sample, so
57.
It was an ordinary 57.
You've done well to get up. You would have been
57.
flat as a shit carters because you're in the twos.
Coming back from a hamstring and should have been playing ones, but I'll let Ken know pretty quickly.
Defensive pressures?
Yeah, 12 tackles, 14 clearances.
You're making that up.
No, I'm not.
12 tackles?
Yeah.
We
had a good team. We had Paddy Ryder, Peps, me, Justin Westhoff. We had a decent
57.
Ken really swung the act. So that was some decent drops to the twos.
There
if
was,
you
yeah.
blokes were playing. What, did you come off a bad loss or something?
I was coming back from, I think, 6 weeks from a string, and the others all got dropped.
So you were restricted in your movement still.
Yeah.
And you still got 57 touches.
Yeah.
Is that the most you've ever had?
Yep.
That would have been...
Most you've ever heard of? Have
Is
you
that
heard of anyone getting more than
I
50?
tied with another sample player from back in the day. So
Okay.
57.
it was a fair day.
There you go. It would have been you
Who
and
did you play on? No one, obviously. But
No one. North Adelaide. Well, I was, as I said, because we had Paddy was just jumping over their ruckman and 360 tapped it wherever. So I was, being fed quite nicely.
Beautiful.
I got to 3/4 time, and I think I told the boys I was on 4, or the boys told me I was on 40. So
Right.
we said, well, let's get 50. And
you just got an extra 17 touches.
17 in the
Did
last.
you know when you got your 50th, when you cracked the half ton, did you do like a batsman kind of thing and
just
just
grab it
raise the footy to the air or something like that?
I knew I'd had a fair bit of it. But,
Oh, bullshit.
You knew.
but yeah, moving on. It was a bit of a
Not
fizzer,
about
wasn't it?
It was.
The cyclone didn't quite hit like we thought it was going to up here, and then round one, the 2 games.
Round 0.
Or round 0.
Opening round.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
Bit of a fizzer. They need to do something about it.
Okay, well, speaking of things in your career, Tom, so your career also boasts the NAB Cup Premiership,
Yep.
playing in China and playing AFLX.
Yep.
Is opening round adjoining the likes of these initiatives from the AFL?
Under its current model, it is. And John Pearce, who's a massive backer of the Brisbane Lions, has been for a number of years.
Who's John Pearce?
He's used to be the number 1 ticket holder of the Lions.
Okay.
I reckon 15 years ago, he was pushing for the AFL to take their opening game or a game to LA because it's close, it's marketable, it's so big, but they went New Zealand, China, didn't quite work. I think if the AFL had done it and done what they're trying to keep up with rugby league now to go, because league went to Vegas.
Yeah.
They could potentially go there, but having the opening round the week after they've started in the northern states, I get the concept of trying to promote it, but it's sort of, you're already missing it because the NRL's already started. They're away and going. And we ended up, I know it would have been different if we had the 4 games, but everyone's looking for something to do over the weekend. And when you have, even if it had played out the way it was supposed to, you have the Thursday night game, the Friday night game, 1 game Saturday afternoon, about 4 o'clock start, and then Sunday afternoon. It just doesn't, you need more games.
I think the perspective from you blokes is interesting on this because obviously there's been a lot of scrap opening round. Opening round's got to go from people basically in Victoria, but you, Lynchy, having been up here in Queensland for 30 years now, where do you give the sort of northern states development sort of perspective on this?
I like the idea of a focus on the northern states. Probably Rocky's similar. I don't think it in its current form is the way to go. I mean, also on the back of it, we give Melbourne Storm a free hit in Melbourne. So they're playing on Saturday night,
Sunday
Arvo,
and 46 up in the first half.
They
too.
did. Killed it. They did. But so we've given them a free hit in Melbourne. So I just think it has to evolve. I know what the AFL were trying to do. I don't think we should be too worried about competing against the NRL. We've got a great product. We've got a lot of people go watch it. A lot of people watch it on TV. And it's just... I'd love to hear from the AFL this week. And absolutely, the cyclone was a stick in the spokes, which no one could predict. But... what's their aim, and are they getting a return on their investment for that weekend, even if it goes beautifully? Because I can't really see it, and I think we're getting too worried about what's happening in Vegas. I don't think worry about that. We've got a great product.
Can I pick you up on that whole? You're right about the sort of we shouldn't worry about what rugby league's doing, or even just saying like we give Melbourne Storm a free hit. I think that sort of stuff is a bit pointless. That sort of discussion, because people aren't going to be like, oh my God, rugby league's on for a day. It's the only thing on. I'm never going to watch AFL again. And people sort of like fret and panic about this petty stuff. Or maybe just work around fixtures and incorporate it into the city and stuff like that.
This might be
work a bit better
generalisation a little bit, but I think a lot of blokes don't really care. Like, as long as there's sport on. So they'll watch rugby league. Well, I know I will. Yeah. And unless you're a real diehard that's pure AFL or pure NRL, I think you're going to watch both anyway. So the more footy you have on, the better. The idea I did like was, I think Vossi came up with it, I heard it over the weekend, was to have 2 games in Perth, 2 games in Adelaide, 2 games in Queensland, 2 games in Sydney, and you'll have the 1 game in Melbourne until Tassie come in. Tassie come in, you have the 1 game in Tassie, 1 game in Melbourne. That's probably a good way to do it, because you're taking it to the whole country. We're a national game, where NRL's still only on the eastern states.
But does it have to be this week? Can't it be this... the normal round 1, have that celebration of our national game because we're around in all states, have that round 1. I don't see the point in bringing it a week earlier.
Well, I would, and again, I've said this for a number of years. I know Carlton and Richmond have sort of made it their own on Thursday night. Start the season with the grand final replay, because imagine how much Sydney would want to come out and rectify what happened, but also make them hurt. Have the game in Brisbane on Thursday night. The two grand finalists play off. They've got to stand there and watch them unveil the flag. Like, it's going to be on. The first bounce is going to be on. Yeah,
so I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't, probably the wrong term, waste that on round 1 or the first week, because you're going to get a good crowd anyway. I'd stuck it in for a focus.
Do you think it's going to be as big this week? Because Sydney have come out, they've been rolled by Hawthorn. They've got to have a point to prove against Brisbane. I don't think it's as big this weekend, grand final replay, as what it could potentially, the build-up to it. Yeah. Everyone's talking about it. Sydney got wiped off the park. How are they going to come out? Then they've got to stand there, watch Brisbane unveil the flag. Yeah. Like, I never went through it, but I'd imagine if you lost the grand final and you're standing
I didn't go through it. I retired, so I didn't have to go through it.
But
I don't mind that. Yep.
I was watching Corbin Middlemans, who's now part of the Fox Footy stable, and he's also on the ABC. He had a pretty good suggestion about what to do in terms of, I guess, because the argument that Brisbane, Sydney, GWS, Gold Coast will make about opening round is that, like, it gives us exposure, it lets us be the only show in town, it gives us the primetime focus. He made the argument saying, well, why not do that mid-season bye week where they're the only games on and you just have a 1 split round, which is what used to happen. I reckon in the mid-2000s, when there used to be a split round, used to be like round 12, round 13 kind of thing, where there would be 7 games and then Collingwood and Sydney would play a standalone game on the Saturday night at the Olympic Stadium. And that used to get a big crowd, get heaps of attention.
I think...
And then you can also tie it in with school holidays. So, particularly in the case of a Gold Coast, they could get a Collingwood up to Carrara at that time of year.
They always do that anyway with Carlton and Collingwood. I think the main thing is you want to see your team play in the opening weekend.
Yeah.
So just go back to round 1, have every team play, and away you go. You're still going to have the build-up.
And the other thing with opening round, it's compromised the fixture to buggery, really, with the staggering of buys. I mean, some teams are getting 2 buys before a team gets their first.
Are they doing that on the back of Tassie coming in and us going to have to get used to of teams not playing every week, potentially? Are they trying to soften it for us?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't
think so. But it's extremely compromised.
Oh, Well, yeah, it's a national competition that's always going to have compromises in it because you've got 10 teams in Melbourne. But I think every team should play, and I would have the opening game as a grand final replay.
Okay, there's going to be a lot of suggestions on that, but yeah, I think let's just scrap the opening round. The fact that there is a round 0 just confuses everyone anyway. Moving right along, what did we get out of the 2 matches that actually were played over the weekend? I thought Collingwood looked a bit old and slow, a bit injured, and Hawthorn, they are just looking phenomenal, and GWS very just strong and fast finishing. And
well, don't forget, you got to pump up St Kilda's recruiting team.
Yeah.
They've identified one of the best players in the comp.
Yeah.
They didn't get him over the line,
No.
but that was probably the best game he's played. Like we've seen doing the commentary, we've seen bits and pieces of Finn and doing that sort of stuff, but he looked almost a class above through that midfield. And he's got, for a big man, like he's close to 6'4", let's say at least 6'3", and a strong body.
Skills.
But he's got some pace as well to get out. And so I think that they were the standouts for me, just their speed, which we know that they can do, but they weathered the storm through the third quarter?
Yeah.
There was a heap of inside 50s from Collingwood, but they weathered the storm, then bang, went the other way. And you sort of wouldn't have seen too many taggers, not the day you had 57 anyway. Toby Bedford. Break them. Oh, you run them off their legs, will you? Yeah. But Toby Bedford's game on Dacos, now I know for whatever reason he was cramping, but that's a good job, and he hurt Collingwood the other way as well.
Yeah, we spoke just briefly off air. I reckon it had to do with the turf, because you don't see
Well, could do, yeah.
guys cramping like that.
Explain that.
So the principle behind that was at Green Day. I think Green Day had a concert there 10 days ago or something, so they replaced all the turf. So I'd imagine they've put obviously concrete underneath it and then the turf on top. So running through sand makes you cramp a lot quicker. So even when the Dacosses went, you could understand Nick because he had a compromised summer, but then Lockie Whitfield's cramping as well, who's probably the fittest player in the competition. So you're like, there's something in that. But I think the Giants, they would nearly have to have firmed into premiership favourites. I know Hawthorn firmed, but the Giants, what they didn't have there as well, they've got Hogan to come back in, Stringer, who from all reports is dominating, and probably their best midfielder, Tom Green, to come back in.
GWS 750 for the flag second line of betting.
And so Riccardi was another one because he was a couple weeks suspension.
He's still on Mad Monday punishments.
Wacky Wednesday.
But like you speak about Finn being offered that contract, there's one player that's playing for the Giants. It should be the highest player in the paid player in the competition. He's centre-half back Lynchy, full-back. I don't say it very often about defenders, but Sam Taylor. 9
intercept marks.
He is an out-and-out star.
He is a star, and you speak to the coaching staff down there, and you see it when you're watching the game as well. He's an extreme competitor, just hates getting beat and everything, but he reads the ball well, and he's got great courage in the air, which cost Briggsy a game and probably a couple of weeks on the sidelines with his courage to go back with the flight of the ball. But no, you're right. He's bloody important. He won't get the biggest contract. It'll be one of the midfielders. But I agree with you. He is an important player, and they're well stocked down there because we underrate Buckley until Taylor goes down with an injury, and then Buckley steps up and does the same sort of role. So, yeah, great player.
Are we looking at a GWS Hawthorn grand final?
She's going early.
Let's go early.
Well,
we've got to go early crow on this.
We still haven't seen
program.
Brisbane. I think Brisbane is still the number 1 seed. When they click, they're going to be hard to beat.
What did we make of the Hawks on the Hollywood Hawks on Friday night?
They were good.
Very good.
I know Lynchy wants to get in the Swans, but the Hawks...
Oh, no. The Hawks, again, recruiting. The Hawks have done this before when they went with Brian Lake and Gibson and Hale and all these. Barras and Battle, they just slotted in perfectly and played great roles. Yeah. And then, I know Sicily goes forward at different times anyway, but that... As a coach, you're much more comfortable to put Sicily forward when you've got Barras intercepting everything down back. So, no, they looked very good and filled a couple of spots that they maybe weren't very strong in last year.
The other one as well is, we did it in the punting section of the podcast, Will Day. 101 into 11 for the Brownlow. He had 3 votes about halfway through the second quarter, didn't he? 3 goals and 17. They're item sliding the Hawks, but they were super impressive. They're going to be hard to slide too far, I would have thought.
I think with the Brownlow to start off with this year, it'll be a very short start for the opening round votes, but I think you would have W. Day 3 votes and F. Callaghan 3 votes from the 2
Would have
matches
thought so.
played.
Oh, Taylor would be stiff. I know he's not going to get him, but what he did in that first half and when the ball was pumping in, if
Taylor gets coaches' votes, doesn't he? He gets the
he'd have
max.
to nearly get 10, I
Be
think.
interesting to see the coaches' votes this week, so keep an eye out on those.
The other one, just one quick one on that, and with Briggs going down, just the draft picks used on elite ruckman is an ongoing discussion. But you look at the ruckman that performed well on the weekend. Now, Cameron for Collingwood was very good. He was picked 48 to Sydney in 2016. Lloyd Meek picked 69. He was very good.
Yes, he was very good.
Very, very good. He had the better of Grundy. So that's pick 69 to Freo.
Hawthorn's trading.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah, that's another one.
They
Yeah.
got big winners out of that because they got a high draft pick as well for O'Meara to go to Freo.
Yeah,
so they got Meek and a high pick.
exceedingly well. Briggs picked 34 to GWS. Now he only lasts a few minutes. Lockie Keefe, who keeps getting underrated. Now he's been delisted a few times, I think, and banned for a couple of years at one stage. He was picked 69 in the rookie draft. But he competed all right.
He was good.
He was very good, played a very important role. So, yes, the selection of some of these recycled ruckmen, once they've had 6 or 7 years in the league, mature bodies, like Mummy many years ago.
Yeah, just kept going.
But he wasn't a high draft pick by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of good stories, and I thought the three of the 4 ruckmen that were pretty good on the weekends were late draft picks.
Sydney Swans, I reckon they looked a bit ordinary on Friday night. Hawthorn are up and about. I actually, when we did our receipt keeping last week, had them in the outs of the top 8. I just, Sydney didn't lose games like that last year.
No.
I know it's early to make judgment and Hawthorn are up and about, but there was just something lacking.
They'll be okay. I think the way they moved the footy was good enough. They just didn't take their opportunities in front of goal. Their best players are not playing. Goulden's obviously out for a number of weeks. Once they straighten up in front of goals, I think they'll be fine. Chad Warner, when he's on,
he's on, and he's going to be his contract's going to be very much spoken about week in, week out for the rest of the year.
I think Sydney, if they can get their front half operating the way it should, they'll be fine. I think they'll be still there.
I'd have Brisbane beating them this weekend, though.
Yeah, I still have Brisbane to number 1. Yeah.
But dude, what do you do? I mean, Coxie's not going to change this week, you wouldn't expect. McCartan's gone forward because they're trying to strengthen obviously the forward line, as you said. But he's such a key player down back, and it changes what Nick Blakey has to do as play on a key defender, which is ideally not where you want him to be. You want him to be aggressive, running off the third tall. But yeah,
I'd swing him back. I think
he's
settled.
much better back. But you'd think this week they're going to give it probably another go. You can't buckle after your first week as a new coach, but I think he's a fullback. He's a key back.
I think so. I think play him down there, and you still got Amadi in the forward half, and you only need the one tool to make a contest. Then you got Papley and those guys at ground level. So I would nearly swing him back. I think they look more balanced when he's in defence.
What about Collingwood?
It's still too early. No Houston, no DeGoey. I think you still have to wait. They certainly looked a bit slower than what they have, and Pendlebury never gets caught and still has time and space, but he certainly looked like he's just limping to the line almost. That's no offence. He's a champion. He's played 404,
so I think
but he
looks
looks
20th season.
He looks a yard slower again, and he's never looked quick or anything like that. But they do look a little bit slow, and yeah, interesting to see what comes out this week about. I know it's a talking point there while we're on them. The coaches.
Yeah, I was literally about to bring that up.
Craig McRae, whether he gets in a bit of strife, which he might.
Well, if they do anything about precedent, they will.
But the AFL don't.
They don't.
They make it up as they go.
Craig McRae's a nice person. He's not Alistair Clarkson or Ken Hinkley.
Well, they're not nice people.
Well, he's got he's got.
He started with Kane last
Corns.
year, and now he's going Alastair Clarkson and Ken.
They've got a reputation for being a bit fiery. I'm not saying the AFL will go, he's a nice guy, whereas Clarko and Ken Hinkley...
I thought you just said they're not nice people.
No, I'm sure they're lovely people. You speak incredibly highly of Ken, and I believe it.
It's interesting because you watch Craig McRae after the game, and he says that he was talking to Kingsley, which I think in the wash-up it's been proven that he probably wasn't. He was talking to Bedford, who was tagging Dacos. So if he is proven to have been speaking to a player, they have to give him at least a 20 grand fine.
I don't reckon they will. No. I don't think it was an aggressive sort of thing. It was probably a comment. The AFL will say, look, we don't want to see this, but it wasn't in his face, big issue. And he backed down pretty quick, I
think
reckon.
There's going to be a lot more scrutiny on how coaches behave than ever before, particularly this year, particularly now a lot of them coach on the bench, particularly with the coverage, including even this show. There's so much analysis as to how they look, behave, think, operate, that, yes, if there is a little... Like, it's hardly... we've all seen electrifying 80s with Percy Jones and Tony Jewell having a scuffle at quarter time, but it's not that. But there's going to be a lot more kind of...
It's right there, and there was AFL officials, so they would know what was said.
Well,
it would have been someone on the bench.
There in between
right in the middle.
So he would have been sitting there in between them. So if there was anything...
Actually...
aggressive towards the player, I don't think there will be, though.
Yeah, if there's the coaches just...
I think
chatting back and forth. Is it really that bad?
McCartney.
Where he dropped the shoulder in last year.
Yeah, but
did you
see, when Fly was walking off, just at the end of the game, so Fly's walking from the dugout, and you can see McCartney walk past, and Fly snaps his head around. So, like, something may have been said then.
He's fiery, probably.
Yeah, I think something might have been said then. But Fly didn't react. He just looked and then thought...
Did you ever encounter anything like that with your coaches having... any coaches in your career having wise words with opposition coaches or players during a match?
Not that I can recall. Nah.
Ken? Did Ken ever?
No, seriously, I can't.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, who?
Brad Scott. So we beat Hawthorn. We beat North on the Siren.
Yeah.
And I had some choice words for Boomer Harvey.
Oh, yes, I recall this.
Yeah.
And and we had a guard of honour because Brownie had retired, didn't play. So we had a guard of honour, and Scotty came over and gave me both barrels face to face. Shook me out. Like, had I reacted, like, he was fine in what he said. If I had reacted differently, it could have been, like, he was right there.
Yeah.
But I had to make a donation and away we went. But,
oh, did you?
Yeah.
What was the donation?
Nah.
Was it what, monetary?
Monetary, yeah. A little donation.
Were you threatened with suspension?
Yeah, yep.
Was that
looked after me.
Oh, so Boomer said...
public?
Yeah. It was, I was on the Sunday Footy Show the next day, and it could have gone either way.
How much you have to pay then if it's public?
1,000.
1,000?
Yeah, I was lucky.
You get that out of the ashtray of your car.
I was pretty happy with the 1,000 to get away with it. It was just the timing of it. It was after the siren. So we didn't win many games, obviously, and it was emotional. We got up pretty much in the last quarter and beat them, and had a few choice words for Boomer after the siren.
Yes, you donated $1,000 to charity. I've just Googled
Ricky Ponting Foundation.
Oh, there you go. Good work.
And then, the first article is "No bad blood with Boomer," insists Rockliff.
He was good.
Yep.
Boomer's old school. Well, he's cut from the same.
Boomer would have been like, what goes on the field stays on the field.
He just said the timing of it wasn't great. He said, say whatever you want, but just the timing after the siren, which I agree with. Once the siren's gone, it's all over.
And Kingsley was the same. He said, mates with Fly, there's nothing in it, sort of thing.
Can we have a bit more of that? We're not going to have more of that because it's just how there's scrutiny.
Well, the problem is if other people hear it.
But it's also the argument, but then it goes into junior levels and blah, 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 blah.
Is Ginnivan the smartest player in the competition from a marketing standpoint?
Why is that?
Because he's sitting there reading
I've read the book.
Which happened in the NFL Super Bowl.
Right.
There's a player doing it. He has to be taking the mickey, doesn't he? Like, he has to... Because he knew that would go viral, surely.
Right.
Is he just playing a different ball game to everyone else? Everyone else wants to bag him, but he's like, well, I'll just get the exposure and I'm way smarter than the rest of you.
Did you ever read a book before a match?
No, I wouldn't have thought.
What'd you do?
Didn't read a book in the month before the match.
I don't think I've ever read a book. Picture book, a record.
No, he does a good job.
He's great. Well, I look for. Well, if he does something, let's see what he does on Friday night. If he's reading another book,
humorous. I think he's playing a different ball game, and he gets the reactions that he wants.
He makes footy fun. That's
well.
why we love him. Another thing too, just quick observation. What did you make? I'll ask Rocky because he hasn't got a dog in this fight. What did you make of the TV coverage on the weekend? Did you flick between the two? Did you?
This is going to sound harsh.
No.
Flick between the two.
Well, because there's a 7 feed and there's a Fox feed.
I didn't have power.
You just watched Fox.
Yeah.
Of course, you're a company man.
I feel like
Come on.
Jared Waitley is a great radio caller. I'm not sure he's a TV caller.
So first up, he needs to adapt to a television style.
I think so. I think Brayshaw's done it for a number of years and nails it. So Channel 7 was outstanding. I think Jared is a great radio caller. Hasn't quite perfected.
He's done one game. So let's
get I'm not having a dig at him, but you asked for my opinion.
That's good feedback.
And I would say 7 have their noses in front, but it's only a small sample size. We haven't seen our man Lynchy yet.
And Lynchy missed out on being in the Fox Footy rap promo.
That's correct.
Like, can you say, yo, it's live in 4K and it's here to stay?
It's 4BC.
I'm just relieved I didn't get asked. I think created a lot of talk, though. It's probably done the job they were after.
Yeah. And also the huge scoreboard was a big talking point when they changed the graphics, and Fox went with a massive one.
What do you reckon about that?
I can see the myth.
Nah, it's all good.
I can see. No, I can see the method to the. I can see the method to the madness, because if you're watching, a lot of people will watch. Some people watch footy on their phones, so a smallish scoreboard on a TV screen looks a bit hard to read, but one on a phone actually stands out. Or if you're watching it in pubs, you can clearly see the scoreboard.
There you go.
I think it's a bit too big, in fact, but I feel like there's been this ongoing trend, and this is very pedantic, with TV, all TV, and even grounds, where they've gone with very fancy-looking high-graphic scoreboards. Scoreboards should be the most simplest of graphics. They should be just on a black background, white text for the numbers, yellow text for the team. Keep it simple. Keep the score and the time simple. And because there's even venues that just have club logos and club colours, and sometimes it's actually hard to make out.
And I thought it looked good.
So you thought it looked good.
What do you reckon about some of the promos? Some of the Fox promos were pretty good.
Yeah, the
promos have been pretty good, and I like I like what they've done with their microphones. I was a bit unsure about it, but it's very American with like Friday night footy, Thursday night footy, Sunday afternoon. So it's got good balance.
Yeah, and nice. Fox had much better wardrobe too. Nick Rewalt wearing his white on white looked like he was in a boy band. He wouldn't be getting into the MCC members too. No collar.
Really?
No collared shirt.
No, they look very sharp. New sponsorship from Peter Jackson.
Ooh. Peter Jackson's looking after you this year.
Suit us up, because we're in suits for the first time for a few years. We've been at jeans and a jacket in past years.
I think you look better in suits.
Yeah,
if you have my way, you get the station logo back on the blazer as well. Make it look proper.
I'm not sure we'll go that retro.
There was a baggy green cap at commentary, as I call it. But no, it's been fun to sort of flick between the two. I thought Matt Hill and Dwayno were excellent yesterday as well.
Yeah, very good. We're very lucky with the callers across the country, realistically. I mean, the callers are very good.
But it is fun now to flick between who's calling on certain games and whatnot, but probably 95% of it's going to be watching it on Fox now.
Well, that's right. Well, I'm interested in your feedback over the coming weeks.
Yeah. Pay rise, 97%.
Yeah.
97%.
You might have to renegotiate.
Yeah.
No, I'm just hanging on. They offer me something to say yes.
He didn't get a call up in the rap. That's
You've already run with that.
If you should have been in the rap.
Yeah, I should have been.
You should have busted some lyrics. This is AFL Unpopular Opinions here on Ned's.
You're listening to Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions.
You are indeed listening to AFL Unpopular Opinions. Dylan Leach, Alastair Lynch and Tom Rockliff with you. Hey, don't forget, the Snapshot is now a breakout podcast that'll be out every Tuesday. Ryan and Rocky will be going through all the betting stats and informations and have a crack at a multi. And of course, Ned's now has the multi-tracker on the app, so you can stay in touch with how your multis are progressing over the weekend. Juicy, we got the NRL multi got up, by the way.
10-1, yeah.
So and a good result for you.
Washed out.
Yeah,
no
washed
loss.
out.
That's right. It didn't lose.
Void's a start.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Is there some juice this week, you reckon?
13-1, there's plenty of juice.
Oh, juicy. Juicy. So looking forward to that. Now, bit of fun now on the show. I've got a segment now called Then and Now, a little game I like to play, and I've gone into the archives of the AFL Record, a fine publication available at all venues. Hello to Ash Brown, the editor, who does listen to this show, by the way. And I found
giving him a pump up
Well, you
because he
pump
does
him up a
a
fair
bit of writing. He's trying to
Well, you
get a
done
full-time
one
gig.
article, have you?
I got a few
What
coming
was
up
that?
this year.
A few coming. What was your big one last year?
The big one I had one in the grand final about the great historians of football, and I had one in the first week of the finals, which was 30 years of the final 8, which was a good read. And
According to who?
According to me. According to
Right.
me. Sales just went through the roof.
Yeah, I can
Print
imagine.
publications, that's the future.
All right, you've plugged it enough. Come on.
So I found your respective pocket profiles in the record. That's the best bit of the record, the
Yeah.
scores. And I found one of a young Alastair Lynch and one of a young Tom Rockliff. And I thought what we'd do is I'd ask the questions from then, get your current now answers, and then find out what you said back then. So I've got a few of them. So Lynchy, this is your player profile. This is from round 1, 1995. Hawthorn versus...
Only game I played for the year.
Well, you got the record up that year. You got your profile up that year. Hawthorn versus the Brisbane Bears at Waverley.
Yeah.
All right. Which AFL team did you follow as a youngster?
Essendon.
You said Essendon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Football here. Yeah, you may have forgotten.
If I've got that one wrong, that's a worry.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
we
right,
get it. Football hero as a youngster?
Football hero as a youngster.
Yep.
Oh, bloody Van der Haar.
No, you listed Renee Kink.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, right, yeah, he's up there.
Kinky.
Yeah,
Very good.
He was a ripper.
Memories of first AFL game?
yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. What do you
wanna know?
remember? What's your memory? What did you list as your memory?
I started on the Pine and come on in the first quarter. Second kick in league footy was a drop kick goal.
Drop kick.
Yeah, you wrote kicking a drop kick goal in the first quarter. I wonder if that game was broadcast. Was that broadcast, that match?
No, it wasn't, but
Okay.
there was a one camera view of it. Someone sent me last year, so it was the first time I'd ever seen the game.
Did they have cameras when you started?
Yeah, the one, the old mate was there spinning it. Just, but
We'll have
yeah,
to-
no,
we'll have to
one
get-
camera,
we'll have
no
to-
commentary.
We'll have to get the newsreel of that. Most embarrassing moment in football?
Oh, how many? When was this? Actually, when was 95?
This is 95, but this is I want a 2025 answer, 30 years later. What's your most embarrassing moment in football?
Must be the last one.
Yeah, last game.
Yeah, okay. Well, back then you said arriving late to Princes Park for my first reserves game at Fitzroy because
Oh,
you couldn't
shit,
find
yeah.
the ground.
Yeah, so what happened? A bunch of us lived together. So Michael Gale, Matthew Armstrong, Darren Kapler, and I reckon Brendan Gale was living with us as well.
Yep.
And I was the only one in the twos for the first game of the year, and so my first year there. And so I borrowed Michael Gale's Kingswood, and you had the old Melways.
Yep.
So you wouldn't have.
Yeah,
you know
I know
Melways?
No, Melways, yeah.
So the maps. And
Mum
so,
and Dad had some of the great blues over Melbourne.
oh, they're tough to follow.
Yeah.
So I've got the Melways out in Butcher's car,
Yeah.
sitting on the seat, and I'm trying to find my way to Princes Park that I'd never been before.
Map 29, Princes Park, because my house was on that map as well at the time.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
I
so
remember where my house was.
I got lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that cold sweat thing and shit.
no.
I mean, and the great Flea Wilson was our coach in the twos. I've walked in late down into the Carlton rooms. You know the Carlton rooms at
Yeah.
Princes Park? Worked down in the Carlton rooms, no one there. Thinking, oh shit, this is really bad. And this is pre-mobile phones
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So there's no call. I'm lost. And so walked in. They were all in the coach's room getting their pre-game address from the coach. And I got a cook
Yeah.
and got told very frankly I'm starting on the Pine.
Yep.
And he buckled. Thankfully, he buckled over the next couple of minutes, and he said, "No, you're okay. You'll start."
Okay.
So I got back on, but yeah, no, that was a nerve-wracking moment. Shocking.
Kids won't understand the Melways these days.
The Melway. So
Phones.
it's like a 400-page book of maps.
Magnificent
No, I
book.
mean how lucky they are.
Yeah,
now
to
that
just
Oh.
there's
have
phones
Google Maps.
and tells you
Punch.
the fastest way,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
not
shit.
back in the day.
No.
Nah, not in the day. No, there was no page 54.
Tom's clearly
DF.
still got PTSD from his parents blowing over a Melways direction.
Some of
there.
the great days in the back.
What do you recall being your most memorable moment in 1994? This is the question here.
Most memorable moment, 1994.
Yep.
Did I get married in 94? No.
No, you didn't.
No, I don't know. First game, kicked 8 against the Saints.
No, you
No.
said it was being part of the Bears' breakthrough wins against Geelong, Essendon and Collingwood. Remember those things?
Nope.
See, he's doing the player profile as a team player, and now he's just like...
Nah.
Don't remember that. Biggest career influence?
Peter Hudson,
Yep. You've also listed Robert Shaw.
Robert Shaw, David Parkin.
Yeah, no, you haven't listed. You've given Parko the flick here, but
Oh,
you
righto.
put your then fiancé and now wife Peter.
Yeah.
So that's good. Good.
Oh, bloody
Saving
oath.
grace. Yeah, saving
well,
grace.
well, she had to do more work in that year after this was printed
Right.
to keep me fed and alive.
Looked up. As we found out in the book, Take Nothing for Granted. If you could change one thing in AFL football, what would it be?
In 94.
No, right now, and I'll tell you what you said back then.
Geez, an even draw, an even fixture. Mm-hmm. What did I say back then?
Smaller grounds and wider goals.
Oh, there's
You're playing at Waverley.
Tempted humour.
You were playing at Waverley that day.
Were you playing forward back then? Or just
yes.
swung around? Yeah, that's
No.
why.
And,
wider.
Yeah, I'd gone back. Yeah.
Best player you've ever seen?
Did I go Lockett and Dunstall?
No, you went
Rules?
Ablett. You put Dunstall at most difficult opponent.
Yeah. So that's evolved.
Yeah.
So I'd say Dunstall and Lockett are hard to separate,
You listed Dunstall back then.
but I'd rather play on Dunstall than Plugger.
Okay.
Because they're both superstars
what-
and kick with a heap of goals, but one wants to kill you.
And what about in the second era of your career?
Plugger actually just not overly enamoured with humans.
No. No.
And so fair dinkum, he chucked me into the fence one day at Moorabbin. We played the last game at Moorabbin.
Yeah.
And I was going all right at fullback, and he got taken off the ground, and I sort of
Give him...
just gave him some encouragement.
You idiot.
Yeah, he came back on.
You're a brave man.
Yeah, and he threw me into the fence. And
Well,
our ruckman
Could be
at the
worse.
time,
Spelling Plugger's history.
ex-West Coast ruckman David O'Connell came down because there was a bit of a fracas, and Plugger got him in a headlock, near put him to sleep. Yeah,
And-
no good.
One more question. If you didn't play football, what would be your number one sport?
Well, I'd like it to be cricket.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would not put down golf even back then.
You did put golf.
Did I put golf?
Yeah, you put. If you didn't play football, what would be your number one sport? Golf, because it seems like the most relaxing of the sporting professions.
Yeah, seems like it now. 30 years on,
not.
it's an awful game. Stressful, shocking. And when you shank on national TV, it doesn't go well.
Now,
Watch that on the weekend.
we've dug one up of
Yeah.
yours, Tom Rockliff.
Yeah.
Round 3, 2011, Brisbane versus Melbourne is when it was published.
Yeah.
At the MCG, you got 29 disposals that day. Not bad.
Quiet
Quiet day
afternoon
for
for
you.
me, yeah.
You subbed out half time. Yeah.
Probably
D's won
must have been.
D's won by 11 points. So, anyway, let's get some of your questions from back then. Sports person other than AFL you love watching the most?
Ponting.
You listed basketballer Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Back then?
Nah. Ricky.
So you're as senile as I am now. You can't
Favourite commentator?
Then
What year is this?
No, this is 2011. What is your favourite commentator now?
Now it's BT. I love Brian.
Yeah. Back then, you liked the pipe.
5.
Dwayne Russell.
He must have looked after me early days.
He must have really pumped you up back then.
Dwayne,
The pipe.
I did a bit of radio early days with Dwayne and Jared. They looked after me.
So that's where, yeah. Whose autograph did you get? Do you remember getting as a kid?
Oh, as a kid,
Yeah.
I was a Tiger man, so I don't know if it was a Tiger, but I was lucky enough to play with Anthony Stevens and Mark Porter, so it might have been one of them too.
Ken Judge.
Oh,
Late Ken Judge.
Judgy, yeah.
Yeah.
Judgy, family friend.
Describe your perfect day off.
Day off now would be with my boys, having a day with Jack and Huey boy. Not sure back then, probably golf.
You listed romantic day at the beach with Reddo.
Yeah,
Jack
there was
Redden?
a bit of a bromance with me and Reddo back then.
What scares you the most?
Scares?
Yeah.
Well, what Lynchy was just saying happened to him on Wednesday, snakes. He had a
You
snake
listed
go under his
snakes.
car.
Yep.
Not
So-
for me.
No. You,
Slippery operators.
you'll be avoiding the Blacktown footy ground at all costs,
Yep.
no matter what.
They're quick little buggers too. Jeez, they slide.
You gave a great answer for this one. The person you'd most like to meet. Now?
Now,
In 2025?
I don't know if it was then, but I would say it would be either Tiger or Jordan.
No.
Who do I go with then?
Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
Neil Patrick Harris.
He was
in character?
Yes,
You want to meet Neil Patrick
no,
Harris
in
himself
character.
or as Barney?
In character.
Yeah?
He's in character.
Yeah, great show, How I Met Your Mother.
If he could teach me a few tips, yeah, it'd be good. How to pick women up.
Now, this is what you've listed. This is you have finished your footy career, but this was a question back then. 3 things you'd like to do after your footy career.
After?
Yeah, your footy career's over now. You're with us, but
well, now obviously being a dad's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
So that'd be number 1. Number 2 now is just to be content and happy with life, which I am.
Yeah.
And 3, what would I like to do? I'm not sure the third. I'm pretty happy with just the first 2.
you listed pretty similar actually to what you listed back then. Be a stay-at-home dad. You got your 2 boys.
Yep.
Travel the world. You've done a bit of travel. Played
Wouldn't
football
mind
in
that.
3 different countries.
Right.
And be a property developer.
Close. Property developer would be nice. I'm happy with what I do now.
What do you do? Give me
I'm a
some-
finance broker.
Yeah.
Financing.
Started my own
Rockliff
company.
Finance.
Rockliff Finance, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not bad. Not
done
bad.
well.
What domestic chore do you refuse to do?
Well, I have to do them all now.
That's what you wrote
being
back
a
then
single
too.
dad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is that what I wrote? I
Yeah,
have
you
to do
did
them
write
all.
that.
Yeah.
Best book read.
Best book read. Now.
Yeah. Now, I don't think you want to say what you said back then.
No, I would have said. I know who I would have said then. Lance Armstrong.
And then what after that? Was it Belle Gibson's
was a
book
good
after
read.
that, or
It was a good read.
What's in the fiction section now?
Probably I've sort of transitioned a little bit to more business type. Grant Cardone is a good book. Times 10.
What book was that called? Huh?
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. Yep.
Times 10. It's about why set your goals at 1, set them by 10, and if you fall short, then you're still going to be 8 times in front of what you were.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you only got yourself to blame if things go wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Right?
Bit of
Is that it?
inspiration. No. Last but not least, your favourite movie.
Malcolm.
Great film. That was a genuine surprise when I saw that because everyone puts Shawshank Redemption. You put the movie Malcolm down.
Malcolm, an Australian classic. Have you seen that?
Australian
I don't think so.
with the getaway tram.
Yes, the tram.
Colin
But
Friels.
Based in Melbourne in
yep.
late
80s,
early
brilliant
90s.
film.
One of the all-time. They
And-
rob a bank from... They got remote controls.
Yeah.
It's all
I have to
And
get that.
they get out. They have a getaway tram.
And they've got a car that splits in half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a really cool movie. No, when I saw that, because everyone usually puts Shawshank Redemption down, and you put Malcolm. I'm like, go Rocky.
In the early 90s, I was at home, and brother and sister at school, and I used to have to stay home and fold the washing for mum, and used to put Malcolm on and watch that.
How good.
It's a great film, Malcolm.
Yeah, all time.
Have you seen An Odd Angry Shot?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
That's a Vietnam War movie
Right.
with Graham Kennedy in it.
Okay.
I reckon I jumped from Shawshank Redemption to An Odd Angry Shot, which is quite...
It's legit got to
Very-
a stage now
very
in
funny.
the record that they've changed the question now to have you seen Shawshank Redemption? So they no longer ask favourite movie.
Favourite.
I think so. There you go. A good bit of then and now. Get to know you blokes.
Very good. Well, you can remember half of it.
Well, mine was only
Mine
last
was 100
decade.
years ago.
15 years ago. This
Yours
is
was
30 years
4
ago.
decades ago.
You're listening to AFL Unpopular Opinions. Back to wrap up. Time to wrap up here on Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. We actually have a full round of football this weekend to get into. Round 1. The season mostly starts now. It actually starts now. We've had the little sample. Now the real stuff. What are we looking forward to this weekend, boys?
I'm going to go Friday night. Hawthorn, see how they back up against Essendon. It should be close to 100 there, you'd think. 90,000, you'd think. 2 arch rivals at the MCG. I think Hawthorn will get the better of them. But, yeah, looking forward to how that one unfolds.
A lot of genuine interest in how the 2 Queensland teams go. But how does Sydney, as you touched on, grand final rematch, how Sydney respond to their disappointing effort in opening round, And then I'm interested, West Coast, Gold Coast.
Yeah,
Gold-
so that's the one that's
Gold
been...
Coast, if they harbour any ambitions,
Yeah.
they've got to get that done.
Have to win.
And also for highlight for West Coast fans, they've officially scrapped the Birds of Tokyo theme song. That has been axed, and they're reverting back to the traditional West Coast theme song.
Are
That's a
you
good result.
any chance Thursday night?
No.
$10 on the Neds app.
No,
you can get.
I think I sort of go into Richmond games just hoping that they have a crack and you just see something from debutantes or youngsters. It's a very different...
You won't be walking out like you did last year.
No, not this year. Look, I guess because I get to work here and I see what the line is, if Richmond can cover our line more than most, then that's a good chance.
50 points.
It's a 50. So if you can
49
get
and a
within
half.
that, that's a good result. But as long as Richmond show some fight and show some half competitive, because they're going to get belted at times this year.
Collingwood a little short.
Collingwood are a bit
So
short
they're
against
playing
Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide?
Yeah.
So it's about $1.60 odd or
$1.60,
about
yeah.
$2.30
I
odd,
think,
give or
also
take.
think Geelong and Fremantle could be an interesting match.
Freo can beat
as
them down
well
there.
down at Cardinia Park on Saturday Arvo. Yeah, because I think Fremantle are a sneaky chance, because you talk about how if Gold Coast are to play finals this year, well, these are the kind of games Fremantle need to win to play finals. A lot of people fancy Freo this year. And Freo actually has a pretty good record down there at Geelong.
Yeah, Freo actually can win down there, so they're a bit short, aren't they, Geelong? $1.40 odd.
I guess it's cats at home.
$1.40
they're
to
playing- the
60
the market's
70.
playing it safe to start off with, but no, plenty to look forward to. Boys, it's been a fun way to kick off our second episode for the year. Lynchy, good luck this
Thanks.
weekend.
Hopefully get back home through the water.
Yes,
hopefully,
don't-
hopefully your power
comes
comes
on.
back on.
Yeah, the power back on.
Power back on. We'll be
Yeah,
right.
The footy's back on. Happy days. The snapshot is tomorrow. And don't forget, Neds also has the multi-tracker on the app this year and going forward, so no more crossing between apps. You can certainly keep up to date with all the football there. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to Ned's AFL Unpopular Opinions. Enjoyed the podcasts? Remember to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.